So, like I said, the first part will be about debts and how to get out of them. And there will be something after that, a little bit different. Questions at the end if you can, unless it's urgent. As you may or may not know, I run the website getoutofdebtfree.org, and we provide template letters. Now, there are trolls out there. Believe it or not, there are trolls that don't want people out of debt. And these trolls, they make up all sorts of rubbish. Well, unfortunately rubbish, because one of the best ones I heard was that I've actually got a mansion in the Bahamas, and I'm a multimillionaire. And I just wish that was true, but it's not, otherwise I wouldn't be enough on this cold night. Now, when you get a debt, you get a loan or a credit card and you use them. What most don't know is, I spent my last one. Has anyone got a £10 note, £5 note on them?
Yeah.
What, can you read what it says underneath the Bank of England?
I promise to pay the bearer with a demand.
It's a promissory note then.
So that is a promise to pay. But we call it cash. That's a promissory note. And it's got the number of the value in numbers and in words, and it's got a signature on it. Now when you go to a bank or you take out a credit card, you'll fill out an agreement. Now, on that agreement, if you're going for a loan, for instance, for say £10,000, it'll say loan agreement, £10,000 in numbers, and in the writing it'll say £10,000 in words. And then you'll sign it. You know what you've just done? You've just created a promissory note. You're promising to pay in the future whatever that £10,000 is. Exactly as all your cash is, a promissory note. Now, there's reasons the banks use an agreement, a credit agreement, and that's because they don't have to tell you that. Because if they told you that when you signed that agreement, you actually created the cash or the credit, you created it, and then they pull a fast one where they pretend to lend it you back, and then you promise to pay it back plus interest. Now, if this is the first time you've heard this, I can assure you it's absolutely correct. And if you go on the Bank of England website, you'll say they openly admit that they don't create anything, you create it all with your promise. So when you get to the bar and you give them that £10 note, you haven't paid for it, you've promised to pay it at some later date. So we're all in a lot of debt when they come to redeem all these notes that you passed off, but of course we take it as payment for the time being. Now, if the bank said, what you've done is you've created the £10,000 that we're going to pretend to lend you, and then when they want you to pay it back and interest, you say, do what? I'll tell you what, 10 grand, I'll give you 100 quid for monetarising my promissory note, and that would be fair. But they don't. What they then do is they securitise your agreement. Basically, they sell it on. And some say, well, why would they sell it on? Because, as I said, it's worth the £10,000 plus interest. So the bank wins hands down. The bank has your £10,000 worth of credit. They sell it on, usually for around £10,000. And then, if, say you fall on hard times, you break your leg, you can't work, you lose your job, and you can't pay it back. But say you've been doing it for a few years now, and you've paid £5,000 back for argument's sake. What the bank does then, the bank's already got 5,000 of the alleged 10,000 which you created. They got 5,000 pound back. They then, under the EU directive, all loans, agreements, contracts, like anything like that, has to have an insurance policy. So as soon as you can't pay it after 3 payments, they contact the insurance company and get paid £10,000. So they're now 15,000 plus the original. They're now £25,000 up on that £10,000 that you thought you borrowed. This is how banking works. Why don't they use a contract? Anyone know? Okay, they don't use a contract because a contract has certain elements to it. Basically, they would have to tell you that you created the £10,000. Well, think of it like this. When you go to get a loan, you fill out an agreement. No, it is not a contract. But once you've filled out that loan agreement for, say, a house of £100,000, they then get you to fill out another document saying that you're going to use your home as collateral for the alleged loan. You could not use that house as collateral if it had any debts on it. Do you understand that? You can't say, I couldn't go and take that camera and say, I'm using that as collateral for, because he owes me a tenner. Because, well, probably for a start. But when they scam you into using your property as surety for the alleged loan, and it's a scam because they use an agreement in the first place, which you create the money, then they get you to use the property as surety. And like I said, they couldn't do that if there was any debt on it, but they tell you, you just took out a £100,000 mortgage, so there's £100,000 debt on it. So how can you use the property that's got debt on it? You can't. You can't use it. Say he had that camera on hire purchase, well, he doesn't own it. So I couldn't take it because he's not the owner. Same with a house. They scam you into thinking that you've lent £100,000 and you're going to use the property, the home, as surety to pay back this loan. Like with the other loans, when or if it gets to the point, bear in mind they securitise your mortgage at £100,000. As soon as they get it, it's almost securitised instantly and sold on. So they get the £100,000 back that you created. Then you might pay it for 10 years or 5 years or 20 years. So they get all that money back. And then the first time you're ill, you can't pay for 3 months, they come and take the property. After claiming on the insurance. So they've got the insurance money's £100,000 back as well. What we have here, and I'm going to pass them around, you can read them, you can keep them, but let everyone else see them. Now, although I put bank letter 1 and debt letter 1, I'm not actually sure they're in the right order, so you'll have to bear with me on that one. I'll pass these around, hang on. And I'll pass these debt ones around in a second. Now these are different to the ones that you can download off Get Out of Debt Free. These are mine, which I haven't used for many years now because debt collectors stopped chasing me a long time ago. But basically what we do, if you go on to Get Out of Debt Free, you can register to, well, basically just to get on the site, just so you've got your name, and it doesn't cost anything. It used to cost £7, but the other 2 guys that work with me, they said they wanted to do some crowdfunding. I said no, because I don't like crowdfunding, but they outvoted me, so they did it anyway. They got some crowdfunding, and so now it's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything to go on Get Out of Debt Free. You get the templates. Now, the thing to bear in mind is these templates are just that. They are templates. I've modified these templates so many times, adding things to them, taking things off. In one of my videos on the debt letters, you'll see red writing at the top, and it's not actually on these ones because I've changed it so many times, but I do have the original one somewhere. And that was something at the time I was doing. Whenever you challenge anyone that's chasing you for debts, they'll always say it's a complaint. So I had it read, this is not a complaint, do not treat this as a complaint. They can only treat it as a complaint because they know once that letter comes, or any letters like that, they know you lot have been looking on the internet and you'll get the usual response. This is a template letter off the internet. Now, whoever you're dealing with, it's easier once it gets to debt collectors, but they're banks, so you can deal with banks as well. Credit cards, you use the bank letters. When it's the original alleged creditor, you always start off with the bank letters. And then once you pass it on to a debt collector, you start off with a debt collector. Now, what we do with these letters is quite simple. It's called a conditional acceptance. And I'm not going to read that out because that's a bit too long, but I will hand that one out. that's debt letter 1. And it just says, okay, you say, I owe you some money. No problem. I will pay you back in full every penny. And some people go, but I haven't got the money. I can't pay it back. What I would say is go in the success section, or if you're dealing with a particular company, go to the debt collector section or the banking section, see who you're dealing with and see what everyone else has had. Because what you will find is you will get template letters back from whoever's chasing you. They're all template letters. Template letters have as much power as any. Ours has as much power as theirs. In fact, ours have more power because ours are lawful. Theirs are just trying to scam you. So, some of the things we ask for. We point out that if it's been passed on to a debt collector, they're a third-party interloper, which means, again, we'll use the cameraman. If I borrowed 10 quid off the cameraman, and he can't get it back off of me, but he says to the gentleman in glasses, oh, get that £10 off Mark, and so he gives the cameraman £10, I don't owe that debt anymore. Do you know why? It's been paid, yeah. It doesn't matter who's paid it. It's been paid. He paid off my debt. Now, if he wants to come to me for that £10, well, that's tough. I've got no agreement with him. He's a third-party interloper. He's just someone that's trying to scam me. Now, as it says here, this is letter 2, and basically it says 7 things. I'm sure it had 8, or the next one has 8. That you are a third party. There's other bits and bobs. Make sure you do the paperwork and keep the dates correct, and it's very important that you keep track of what you're doing. We send these letters out, and then we give them 10 days to reply. Now that's just 10 days. It's not 10 working days. It's 10 days from the day you send letter 1. 10 days later you send letter 2. 10 days later you send letter 3. It doesn't matter what you get back from the debt collectors, the banks, whoever's chasing you, because they will not ever give you what we ask for. So number 2, we ask for that we point out that he has no legal standing. Well, you've got no legal standing to come and demand money off me because we've got no agreement. We haven't even got an agreement like we could have had with the cameraman. You have no first-hand knowledge of the matter. You don't know whether I agreed to pay that £10 back or not. He might have just said to you, he's agreed to pay it back, and you took him on first-hand knowledge. Oh yeah, okay. But if I didn't, he might have gifted me that £10, but then told you he lent it me. That you claim is fraudulent. Basically, they're claiming that you owe them some money, and they will claim because they bought the alleged debt that you owe it to them now. As I said, they're a third-party interloper, nothing to do with you whatsoever. We also ask, as I mentioned, I explained it earlier, we ask for a contract. Of course, there's no contract ever with loans, even mortgages. The only contract comes in when they want to scam you into using your home as collateral for the alleged mortgage. I'll pass these 2 around now. And although these are printed, and the blue is just where you fill in your details, it has, down where your signatures, it has by colon. This means that you are not legally or lawfully responsible for anything on the letter. It has, whether you use the family name, Mark of the family Ceylon, or whatever, is entirely up to you. I don't do that. Some do, but then again, I haven't done it for so long now. It's I've almost forgotten what to do. In fact, when I first was doing these, I looked at the postmaster side of things, which is very, very powerful, and I suggest you should have a look at that. But if you are doing these letters, it's more powerful if you do it in writing.
2 and 3.
Now, as I said, you can keep them because I printed them. I don't know where I found them on one of my hard drives somewhere because I've not used them for so long. But here, some of you may or may not know, I've got 4 pens. There's actually more colours, but these four colours are very important. If you fill in any government paperwork or these debt collectors, they will usually sign it if they wanted to sign it as a living man. Quite often it will be what the name of the debt collector's company is. Even alleged solicitors use such and such solicitors. Now, it's illegal for anyone to sign as a corporation that they are not one of. Now, just because they work for that corporation doesn't mean they are a corporation, although we are all corporations, and that's what this black pen's about. When you fill in government paperwork, you fill it out in black, and then they will tell you it's so that the scanner can pick it up. Absolute crock of rubbish. You fill it out in black because of the Cesca of the Act of 1666. Does anyone know why that date's quite well known? Fire in London. While the fire was burning in London and forming the City of London, they brought out the Cesca of the Act, which said you have 7 years to fill out the correct paperwork to prove you're alive. And if you don't fill it out in them 7 years, you're classed as dead and lost to the seas. And that's why they get you to fill everything out in black, because as far as they're concerned, you're dead. You're all dead. They'll also ask you to fill it out in all capitals. Anyone ever been in a graveyard? What are the names? How are they printed in the graveyard? Are they all capitals or are they in lowercase? They're all in capitals. You've got a driving licence, passport, anything like that, you'll see your name is printed all in capitals. And that is because capitia dimitio means maximum loss of status. Anything all in capitals means that you're the lowest of the low. Also, it's a foreign language. Anything in capitals is a foreign language. So when you're getting these letters from debt collectors or banks, and it's got capital letters on it like NatWest Bank or Jacobs whatever or Lau debt collectors, in capitals, it's a foreign language and not usable in England.
I don't understand it.
Well, what you do is you look up the Oxford Styles Manual. Now in that it tells you how to write a name. And it says the way to write a name is your first letter can be capitalised, though it doesn't have to be. Everything else has to be lowercase. So when they write to you all uppercase, they're not writing to you, they're writing to your dead legal fiction. But because it says your name, you think they must be writing to me. Look, it's Joe Bloggs. That's me, I'm Joe Bloggs. It's all in capitals, or it says Mr. It's not to you, it's to your legal fiction. So, black pen is because you're dead, although you didn't know it. Of course, they never told anyone about the paperwork they had to fill out before they were 7. And if you had filled that paperwork out, you'll notice that none of the royals have birth certificates. A birth certificate is just stock control. They keep control of the cattle. Black ink, dead. Red. Now, a lot of people use red. We've all been taught that red is it's like an insult if you write in red. Nothing could be further from the truth. Red signifies that you're alive. It's the colour of blood. So you're a living man. All these games, as immature and pathetic as they are, they play by these rules. So, red, if you sign in red, it means you're a living man. The Queen signs in purple or gold. Purple or gold, purple definitely, stands for sovereign, and gold is somewhere above sovereign from what I can understand. So, it's just a colouring, but it means stuff in their world. Blue. Anyone think what blue means? Very close, very good. It is actually signifies maritime law, and it's what you should sign contracts in, because all contracts are commerce are done on the sea and commerce, and the sea of course is blue, and that's why it's blue. Now, when I first started doing those letters, what I did As I said, I looked into the postmaster, and if you put a stamp in the top right-hand corner, the bottom right-hand corner, and flip it over on the bottom right-hand corner of the back page, and then put your signature across it, by, signature, autograph I should say, not signature, because autograph is their terminology. This is all crazy, I know, but this is how they work. There's a video out where I explain how the postmaster is done. The postmaster is very important because it stops courts. Now, I don't know if you've been in court. I've been in court more than I'd like to be recently, but what often they'll do is you'll put your paperwork in and they'll turn it over, put it down there and say, oh, I can't see that. And that's because they don't want to see it. They don't have to look at it. You know, you put it in front of your face. I'm looking at the lines, white lines in between the ink. They don't have to look at it. But if you have that postmaster sign on them, they cannot ignore it. Now, one of the things we also ask for is something called a deed of assignment. Now, this was found by a late member of Get Out Debt Free. He died at very young, 40-something year old. And he discovered that when alleged debt is sold on to a debt collector, there's certain documents that have to go with them. One is the deed of assignment. Now, if you ever find yourself in debt and a debt collector is chasing you, they will say, we've got the notice of assignment and we have been assigned all liabilities and all the benefits. They will never show you the deed of assignment. We ask for it. So we've got like about 95,000 or more members now, and everyone that's asked for it has never been shown. They've been said, here's the notice of assignment. That just says, this is a notice that we've been assigned, blah, blah. They won't show you the deed of assignment. They'll usually say it's commercially private, it's got other people's details on it, which it may have. I'm not saying it hasn't. That doesn't matter. They can easily blank those other people's details out. The reason they won't show you the deed of assignment is because it tells them, or it will tell you, that your £10,000 loan they paid £10 for, or £100 maximum. And once you found that out, you go, well, even if you believe the system wasn't as corrupt and bent and out to screw us all, you think, well, I'll pay the £100, yeah, get rid of me 10 grand. But you don't even owe that. And the way you know when you're winning, and I'm not saying try this, I'm just saying this is things that I've done and learned as we've gone along. I know the members as well. But they at some point they will offer you a discount. Now, we'll come back to the cameraman who lent me 10 quid, and then you come to me, wanting that 10 quid, would you accept less than 10 quid? No. So why would a debt collector accept less than, say, 10 grand? Because they know you've been on the internet, you've looked into it, and you realise you've been scammed. Because if someone owed me 10 grand, I wouldn't accept 5 grand. I think the most I got offered was an 80% discount. I didn't accept it because I didn't pay anything in the first place. They also, there's also another document that goes with when debts are transferred, and that's a delegation novation agreement. Now that is a three-party agreement. Now, these have to go when a debt is assigned, sold, passed away, passed over, whatever. These have to go with them. But because these corrupt banks and debt collectors have been getting away with it for so long, and no, Joe Public never even knew this stuff. They stopped doing that years ago. But they had to do it. It's law. They must do it. So the delegation novation agreement, as I said, is a three-party agreement between the original creditor, the bank, the credit cards, the debt collector, and you. Have you ever signed a delegation novation agreement saying that you agree to them to sell your debt? No, they don't want you to know about it. So, I'm going to take a few questions on that, if there's any, and then I can talk about a little bit more or not, depending on any questions. So any questions on that, first of all? Well, you all know it. You're all geniuses and up to speed so quick. My job here is done. Right. Now, as I said, I'm not saying do this, but read, educate yourself. all those that's gone on Get Out of Debt Free and all the other sites that are out there, we've dug into things, we've looked at the law, we've looked at what they have to do, their own terms and conditions, and they have to do this. They never do, because they got away with it for so long, they probably can't even remember how to fill these documents out anymore. However, once you've looked into it, you've checked out what they send back. Now, it's like I said, it doesn't matter what they send back, because they will never give you what you've asked for in the letters. Now, when you send letter 1 off, no matter what reply you get, if it does, you read letter 1, okay, I've asked for that, that and that, okay, what's it great for? This is a template letter, this is not UK law, this is American, all sorts of rubbish they come out with. If they don't answer your question, they don't give you what you asked for, then you treat their response as a non-response and carry on as normal. So, you send letter 1, 5 days later you get a reply, or not, usually, and they say blah blah blah, doesn't answer your question, totally ignore it, or return to sender, stick it back in the post to them. And then when you're 10 days up after letter 1, you send letter 2, that is your reply to them. Now, whether they reply to you after that or not, doesn't matter. They're not going to answer your questions. And if they had nothing to hide, they would answer your question. If we're talking about big sums of money here, surely a bank can prove that they lent you £100,000. Yet they can't. So, letter 2's gone. Whether reply or not, doesn't matter. 10 days later, letter 3, gone. Now, there's a bit that I don't think is actually added to the template letter 3, which you should add as yourself, because we do want to do all the work. We want to make sure you've read it and you've taken in what you're asking for and what you're doing. And the little bit on letter 3 that you add yourself is notice of intention of estoppel after 30 days. Simple one line like that says that after 30 days, I'm going to send you an estoppel, which means under law, you can no longer carry on. That doesn't mean they won't carry on. That just means that legally they can't. But they're criminals. They're absolute criminals. So, they may reply to you, they may not. If during this period they don't reply at all, that's great. Do you know why? Because under their own rules, regulations, statutes and acts, if you don't reply to something, you are accepting everything that is in that letter. So if they accept what you're saying, they've admitted you don't know anything. And that's how it works. Whether they reply or not, they will never give you what you asked for, so any reply is a non-response. The other thing to do is, you notice letters nowadays have windows in them. I'm just going to take a drink. Windows in it. Yeah? And you look in it and you see your name and your address. Except, as I said earlier, it's not your name. It might be your address, but it's not your address. It's their address. If it's got a postcode on it, that belongs to them. So your home belongs to them. Whether you bought it outright or not, it belongs to them. Now, I'm not going to stay on that too long, and I'm just going to talk about something briefly because I promised someone I wouldn't talk about it. A friend of mine, he was fortunate in that fortunately, he got injured at work and got enough money to buy his house in full. So it's all paid off. And he's now putting it into a trust. He's not going to be going on the internet and telling everyone else how to do it, because if they go and do it and get it wrong, he gets the blame. But instead, I can mention a few things that he's doing, because you've got to do your own due diligence. You've got to make, if you decide to do this, you're doing it. You're not doing it because I said so, you're doing it because you've read up, you understand what's going on, and you're going to try it. And many people come on and they try it with a small debt first of all, and it usually goes away. In fact, the small ones usually don't even bother replying to you often. But if they do, they never give you the reply they want. And so it's putting his home into a private, now it's very important that it's a private expressed trust. If you go to a solicitor, he will put it into a public expressed trust. Because if it's in the public, the banks, the courts still have access to it. If it's in the private, they can't touch it. Now he's told me that what he's also going to do, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to do this, but he seems to be quite sure of how he's going to do it, but he's not said it to me, so I can't share it with him. He's then going to, whether it be a different trust or not, put a charge on his home. And the charge is going to be for a lot more than the value of his home. And I don't know if you know this, but whoever has the first charge on your property gets the first amount. So if that first charge, say his house is 100,000 and he puts £1 million charge on it, if his house miraculously shoots up over the next year or two and it's worth 200,000-300,000, and someone tries to get a charge on it, and they go and they see there's already a charge for £1 million on it, well, the who has the first charge gets the first pickings. So anyone going to put a charge after that won't get anything. Now, he's not finalised it, I'm just sharing this because I did mention that I would share that little bit with you. Any questions on that?
Yeah, what's a charge?
A charge is if you what they do if you own a home and you don't know what you're doing, and sometimes even if you know what you're doing, they take it to court, say you owe £10,000, you didn't pay it, they'll take it to court and they'll get the court to put a charge on your house. So if your house sells, they get the £10,000 first, and then you get whatever's left over. Or, in other cases, they can force you to sell your home, and they still get the money. So you've got to know what you're doing. Like I say, don't do any of this until you've looked into it yourself, you've read up about it, you've educated yourself, so you know what's going on. Any other questions on that? Before we get on to something a little bit more interesting, maybe. Although these two were there and they saw some of this at the last one I did in Birmingham at my stalkers. By a show of hands, now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to test the audience participation. What I want you to do is all put your hand in the air. Well, okay, all but one, and she's sort of being embarrassed now. Okay, that's fine now. Right. Who, you can put it down now, who's heard of the Mandela Effect? By a show of hands.
A little bit.
Okay, not many. Well, this is going to blow you good, because you were at the last meeting. Although I've been a little bit more prepared this time, to be honest with you. The Mandela Effect. Now, I don't know what it is. I know what the theory is, and the theory is that at CERN over in Switzerland, where they have that large hadron collider, they've been smashing particles together, and somehow other alternate realities have merged into ours. Now, I know that sounds crazy, except I know it's real. I'll start off with right. Does anyone seem to know why? Right. I want you to say this back to me so I can tell what you're saying, hear what you're saying. What does the Queen say into the mirror?
Mirror on the wall.
Okay, is anyone thinking any different? So you're all saying it says mirror, mirror on the wall, yeah? You're wrong. It used to say mirror, mirror on the wall. When I watched it as a kid, it said mirror, mirror on the wall. But if you've got an original video, DVD, whatever, go and check it now. It now says magic mirror on the wall. Go and check it. When I first heard about this, I went down and I looked for these videos, and I didn't have them, so I went down and looked into it, and it has changed. And I was like, no way. No way can that be real. JFK. You all know JFK. He was murdered by, amongst others, Bush Senior. How many people were in the car, including JFK? What? Okay, 3, 2, 4, 6. Right. So why is someone saying different answers, different numbers here?
6.
I recall there being 4. JFK, his wife, the driver, and the bodyguard. Calm down. If you remember it different, you're not wrong. This isn't a right or wrong game. If you remember it differently, that's how it was in your reality. We are from that, and I know this sounds crazy, we are from different realities that have mixed and things have changed. I remember there being 4. If you look it up on the internet, again, it's called the Mandela Effect because many people remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 90s. And they were shocked when he died in 2013 because they thought he was already dead. Now, I don't remember that, but maybe I wasn't paying attention. There's a museum in America which has a replica of JFK's car. You can find it on the internet, and it's got the 4 seats. However, in this reality, there were 6 people in the car. There was the Vice President and his wife sat behind the driver, and JFK and his wife were further behind them. Now this totally destroys one of the theories of who shot JFK, because one of the theories was that the driver turned around and shot him. Well, if you've got the Vice President and his missus here, JFK and his missus here, they would have seen that and it couldn't happen. Some of the stuff in this reality suggests that Jackie Onassis killed him. And if you look at the latest stuff that's come out, because it's changed, it's definitely changed, there's definitely 6 people in the car, even though in that museum in America it's a 4-seater car. There's some footage which seems to have a gun in one of Jackie's hands. I haven't seen the gun. What I did see was it seemed to blood splatter up. Now, it's always gone backwards before, but now it seems to go up. There's a splatter of blood that goes up. So, and the Vice President, as he was then, was actually did a recording where he said, and I couldn't believe what she'd done, talking about Jackie Onassis. Now, I don't know if this is, I just remember 4, and apparently now there were 6 people in the car. Now, you're probably thinking, this guy's a loony. I thought it myself many a time, and I was right most of the time. Ford, remember the Ford car? You remember what the sign is? A blue sort of circle, yeah? With Ford written in it, yeah? No, there's no audience participation. I need some yes. Thank you for my suckers. Does anyone remember it's just being F-O-R-D? It's not like that anymore. It's now F, and the bottom line has a pigtail. Now my brother's got a Ford and he swears blind. When he got it, it never had that on it. I did a video, when I put this video out, I'll put any pictures I can find of how the Ford logo was and how it is now, so you can compare them. I'll put them into the video. He swears blind, he never had it when he bought it. The VW badge. Does everyone remember the VW badge? It's quite simple, everyone has seen it. Yeah? It's like that, isn't it? So it's 2 V's actually crossed to make 3 V's. And the reason I know this is about 2013, I was doing a thing, I never actually put it out, but I did go and check it out actually, about the badges of cars, because they're all connected to things. It's like Peugeot, the lion, well that's the sun, and we know that the Illuminati and all that sun worship. I love the sun. The sun's great, keeps me warm. There's also pyramids in there. If you think about the BMW, look at the sign, it's like you're looking down on a pyramid. You'll have to use some mind to see this, but it does look like that. Citroen is 2 pyramids. Shogun, Mitsubishi is
3 diamonds.
in the foot, and if you draw them up, it's a pyramid. It goes on and on. But as I digress, as I often do. VW, 2 V's cross make 3. The reason I recall this, I was explaining it in the video that what it actually means is when you cross them 2 V's and actually make 3 V's, V in, I believe it's Hebrew, is 6. So that actually meant 666. Except it's not like that in this reality. There's a space between the V and the W. So it's not 2 V's crossed to make 3 V's, it's now a V with a space and a W. I was fortunate that I recalled doing a video which I actually put out there. It's called The Mandela Effect and the VW Badge. And I'll show you what the badge apparently has always been like, since its inception in the 1930s, it's always had that gap in this reality. And I was doing this video, I was doing a video with a friend, and the traffic warden, because we have some form of traffic wardens from time to time, walks by, and I'm filming and going by, and it's a VW. And I looked at it, and it was a 2010 VW, the number plate's in the video, and it was 2 V's crossed to make 3. What I also got me on that subject was, I was watching Ceylon's Lot, the vampire film from the 80s maybe, but it was remade in 2004, and I was watching that. And about 2 hours in, or 2 hours 20 in, something like that, getting near the end, they get into a VW Golf. And the badge is how I remember it. Not with the gap, but joined. And it's still in that video to this day. The video, now this part will really do your noodling. When I was talking about the VW, and I did that on camera and was explaining it's 2 V's crossed to make 3, I went and found that video, and that has now got a line in it. So why would I be saying it's 2 V's crossed to make 3? It's clearly got a line in it. So something, it changed at some point, but there are still remnants. Now there's an American sitcom, it was, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kim Cattrall. Does anyone remember the name? Does anyone remember it? Sex in the City. Oh, someone remembers it different. She's from this reality. I remember it, and if you go, again, don't believe it, don't believe what I'm saying, go and check it out, because people are writing about this stuff, putting videos about this stuff all over the world. And in some of the shows, you know, you get Oscars and Grammys or Emmys or whatever they are, well, they got some. And the presenter says, and here the best woman is Sarah Jessica Parker for Sex in the City. Sex in the City. In this reality, it's always been called Sex and the City. Check it out. Once you start looking into this stuff, it will get hold of you, because you will think, what the hell is going on? Right, I've got some news as well for you two. Forrest Gump, the famous line in Forrest Gump. Who remembers it? Right, can someone say it again now, but just one?
Life is like a box of chocolate.
Is that how you recall it? It's not that. It's life was life, a box of chocolates.
What?
That it's get Forrest Gump. It's about 3 minutes into the film from the start, where he sat on the bench, and he now, and apparently always has, in this reality says life was like a box of chocolates.
Yes, his grandma was the one that said it.
Yes, yes. And the actor who played it, Tom Hanks, was over with the chubby English actor recently. They were doing a quick retake of some of his films, and he said, life is like a box of chocolates. So he recalls it as life is like a box of chocolates, although it's never been that. Star Wars. Any Star Wars fans in? No one likes Star Wars because no one's put down. This is supposed to be interactive. Oh, there is some at last. Right, well, you'll know then. What is the famous line in the second one, Return of the Jedi, where Darth Vader chops off Luke's hand? Say? Okay, well, that one then. What's the line? Correct. That's exactly how I recall it. It's not like that now. It's never been like that. It's now, no, I am your father. Now, for all the Star Wars fans, I've got another one. C-3PO. You all remember him? He was the robot that waddled around as a bloke, but not the little R2-D2. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. It was all gold, but now apparently he's got a silver half-bottom right leg. However, if you look at some of the bloopers that are on YouTube, you can see him with a full gold body. But now, apparently he's always had a silver leg. Now there's a film with Tom Hanks, right? Where he plays a vampire. What is it called?
Tom Hanks.
Not Tom Hanks.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. What's it called?
Interview with the vampire.
So it's Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's Interview with the Vampire. Interview with the Vampire. Even though the actual woman that wrote the book is talking about it, she says Interview with a Vampire. The young ones. Who watched the young ones? How many people lived in the house?
5.
We've got 2 answers. One says 4, one says 5. Who's right? You both are. The 4 were the hippie. Go on then.
Vivian. Rick.
Adrian and Mike.
Okay, yeah, so that's 4. Who's the 5th then? Anyone else remember a 5th member in the young ones that was in the house? No, he didn't live in the house. These were the 5 that lived in the house.
Talking to the beans.
No.
There was another body in there, but you only saw it on certain clips. An extra, like an extra.
What did the body look like?
I can't remember. It's just really, really vague. And
Well, apparently,
because I've looked into it, I know about it.
apparently, yeah, there is a 5th, and it's a woman with dark hair. She looks like Cousin It. She never says anything, but she's in the house, and a lot of the footage from the young ones. Now, I never watched it, to be fair. I watched the other one, but someone over there watched it all, and she says that no way was that in there. Now we're going to go to something really that's going to really do you a little bit here. You've all seen The Wizard of Oz, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know where they go to get the Wicked Witch? What do they carry? What are they carrying with them? What's the straw man? Is the straw man carrying anything? Okay. What about the Tin Man? Is he carrying anything? An axe, okay. Okay. What about the lion? Is he carrying anything? What's he carrying? Right. The straw man is now carrying a gun. The Tin Man is carrying an axe and a big wrench. And the lion is now carrying a big butterfly net.
And a mallet.
Oh, and a mallet. A mallet. Now, I've seen that film loads of times. It was on recently, a couple of weeks back, and that's in there. The mallet, the net, the wrench. I remember the chopper, but the straw man with a gun that they couldn't even use because his fingers are too big. That's in The Wizard of Oz now. And apparently it's always been like that. Right. There was a book which was made into a film which Gene Wilder played the starring role of in the 70s. It was remade in 2005 and Johnny Depp played the role in that. Does anyone know what that film is? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
The one with Johnny Depp in. Obviously you remake a film, you call it the same name, could call Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The original film with Gene Wilder, which was way better, by the way, apparently it's always been called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Even though the book's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Go and check it out yourself. Go on internetmoviedatabase.com, put up Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Gene Wilder and you'll find it pops up. He was the main star in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Any questions on that?
What's your logical explanation to it?
It defies logic, doesn't it? I mean, things that have changed that we can see footage of what, in fact, in this, I'll come to you in a second, in the second series of Top Gear, they have a VW on there, and that VW is the badge the way I remember it. And what the suggestion is that this is where the different realities are mixed and parts have been left in. It's like I can't explain why in one of my videos the VW badge is the way I remember it, and in the one where I'm talking about it and explaining about it, it's got the gap in. Apart from the fact that the one where I catch it and it's how I recall it, it wasn't focusing on the car as much as it was focusing on the traffic warden. Whereas when I was talking about the actual badge, it was focusing fully on the badge. And they're saying this is stuff that sort of bleeds in, that they've not been able to change. But check it out yourself, the Mandela Effect. I've got the Kirsty.
Yeah, I'm just a bit confused, right? So, are you saying that if something's like happened in the past that actually gets changed?
No.
I'm just a bit confused. Is it to do with how people remember it?
No. That's what they want. That's what they want you to believe. Oh, it's a false memory. You just made it. Millions of people all over the world can't have false memories. What?
So it was one thing and then changed into another?
Yes.
To trick us?
Now, when you're going somewhere, say when I was coming here today, and I went, should I go right or should I go left? And I go right. Well, the suggestion in quantum is that because I've gone right, somebody in a different reality, multiple different realities, went left, and they had a different experience to me. You know, we both got to the same place, but they had a different experience than I did. Yeah, every possibility. Now, I'm no expert, but I know things have changed. And if it hasn't changed for you, you're not wrong. That's how it's been for you. There is no right and wrong in this. Whichever way you recall things, that's how it is for you. But I do suggest if you do go on YouTube and start looking at this stuff, you'll spend days looking at it and say, no, I'll just give you one more, which I did. Who remembers, well, I say remembers, it's still going now, Febreze?
Yeah.
How's it spelled?
Got like 3 E's in it, hasn't it?
That's exactly how I remember it. It's only got 1 E in it now. Go in the shops, it's only got 1 E in it.
Did it used to have 3?
No, not in this reality. In my reality it did. In this reality, it's always only had 1 E in it.
Do you remember the James Bond film where George thinks it's...
The T, yeah.
I just wondered if anybody else, because that freaked me out.
The James Bond where Jaws and he meets the young Austrian girl and she's got braces. If that's what it was.
Yeah.
She hasn't got braces anymore.
Maybe your teeth got better.
Hang on, I want the one at the back. The one that's chatting now and just in the last one.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can it not be just obviously we're all little then, so we remember certain details. If you're watching The Wizard of Oz, you're only going to remember certain details.
I've watched it many times, many times.
You're
But
going to remember him wielding an axe, but from a branding perspective,
My mum watched
they're
it.
just subtle changes that they're not bothered about people remembering.
hang on, I'll just get a.
Nearly done for the first half.
I would say, yeah, of course, it must be a false memory. Except there's evidence out there.
No, I'm not saying it's a false memory. I'm saying that we was fixated on something else when we was little. We saw The Wizard of Oz as a really lovely film that we'd be dancing in the living room to telly to the Yellow Brick Road song. We wouldn't be bothered about what the.
Well, what about the VW badge?
Because it's a subtle change in branding.
What about the VW badge?
It's a subtle change in branding.
What about the Ford badge? Because if you go back and check in history, because that's the first thing I did, I thought, oh, they must have changed the logo. Now the first thing I realised is if you've got a logo, you don't change it. It's famous for being that.
No, they do change it. I read the companies.
Well, I checked the VW badge, and when it was first formed in 1930s, it's always had that gap between the V and the W in it. And yet I've got video footage of it the way I recall it, with 2 V's crossed to make 3's. No?
But models as well have different badges on.
Kirsty again.
My mind's gone blank.
Now the problem with this, the Mandela Effect, is you do start to blame everything on it. You do, you blame everything on it.
What do you think the effect of this will be, if any, and the impact on humanity, this Mandela Effect? Have they done it are they purposely leading to something, gaslighting us all, like that?
I couldn't really say.
Because it is don't want to feel gaslighting, you know, what they've done.
There is the other theory that what they have been doing is they have been travelling back in time and changing subtle things from the very beginning. Now that's a possibility, but why do we have evidence of it being the way that we recall it? And again, it doesn't matter which way you recall it, whether you recall the Wizard of Oz with a gun and a spanner and a butterfly net, or you recall it how I recall it without the net, without the gun, without the spanner. You're both right. It's just that that's the reality you are from.
So what's the sense of the purpose?
I have no idea, but it's certainly causing a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Or is that the purpose of it, to cause confusion?
It could be, but it seems a lot of work if that is the case. And in fact, there's a picture of a video of CERN where some of the scientists are there, and one of the guys sat in a chair with a beard similar to yours, and he's got two signs, and one of them says Mandela, and it's called the Mandela Effect. So was he trying to tell us that they knew they'd somehow mixed realities or not? I don't know.
So my reality remembers the Wizard of Oz with nothing. Her reality remembers it with the axe and the gun and whatever, and we're both sat watching it. What do we see?
Okay, just a second. You're not going to like this, because that means that you two are from a different reality.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But what would we see if we're both sat in the same...
Well, you'll both see now as it is now.
But then surely one of us would be wrong, because we wouldn't...
No, there's no right or wrong. And I know it sounds straight, you're with your missus and she's from a different reality, but, yeah, maybe not so straight. But at the end of the day, if what I suggest, and not just me, but millions all over the planet are saying that I don't recall it like that, I recall it like this, we can't all be wrong. And there's literal evidence of it being the way it is and the way it was. Now, I know you think that, I mean, she says that I'm from a different reality because my favourite song isn't my favourite song anymore. Well, maybe I just never told her what my favourite song was. But she claims I did, but that's irrelevant. There is no right and wrong. You've just got to go, have a look. I mean, the Febreze, it's something very simple that will have you going, no way. Go and check it up on YouTube, just Google Mandela Effect, and the first recorded report was from 2010. And that was when a woman realised that Mandela was still alive, yet she remembered him dying in the 90s. Now, as I said, there's no right or wrong, it's just the way it is. You can't change things back. Maybe you can, I don't know. But does that mean we all go back to different realities? And what's happened in the other realities? I don't know. I just know it's odd, and the more you look into it, the more you question things. Any other questions on that? And then we'll have a break.
That was awesome.
Okay, it's break time then. Cheers.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.